Pakistan has a dictatorial system of government, causing conflict between Muslim modernists and traditionalists. Benazir Bhutto's desire to enter politics began with the execution of Ali Bhutto by the regime of Zia Ul-Haq, who was in power at that time. The pressure put on Benazir Bhutto made her even more eager to continue her father's struggle to establish a democratic country. Her desire to fight for women's rights, especially in the right to participate in politics, became one of her motivations to become a leader in Pakistan. This study aims to find out about the life of Benazir Bhutto, to find out about Benazir Bhutto's political career, and to find out Benazir Bhutto's thoughts about women's political rights as a symbol of democracy in Pakistan. In conducting research, the author uses a critical historical method that relies on literature review, both in the form of books, encyclopedias, journals, and the Internet. The steps in the research include seeking material from historical sources, critically assessing historical sources, interpreting information from historical sources and writing them down. Then interpret the existing facts by analyzing the sources. The results of the research showed that Benazir Bhutto came from a Muslim family with a family background that was involved in politics. As leader of the Pakistan People's Party, Benazir Bhutto was elected Prime Minister twice, namely from 1988 to 1990 and from 1993 to 1996. Benazir Bhutto's political career was driven by the death of Ali Bhutto, which became a turning point in Benazir Bhutto's life, which eventually led her to become Prime Minister. Benazir's thoughts on women's political rights are to issue several policies related to gender equality for women, especially political rights for women in Pakistan. Below are some of Benazir Bhutto's quotes. Enjoy. In distinguishing between Islamic teachings and social taboos, we must remember that Islam forbids injustice against people, against nations, against women. It shuns race, color, and gender as a basis of distinction amongst fellowmen. It enshrines piety as the sole criteria for judging humankind. Democracy needs support, and the best support for democracy comes from other democracies. Democratic nations should come together in an association designed to help each other and promote what is a universal value, democracy. I am planning to return and contest the October elections in Pakistan. A people inspired by democracy, human rights, and economic opportunity will turn their back decisively against extremism. You can imprison a man, but not an idea. You can exile a man, but not an idea. You can kill a man, but not an idea. Whatever my aims and agendas were, I never asked for power. Democracy is the best revenge. Democracy is necessary to peace and to undermining the forces of terrorism. America's greatest contribution to the world is its concept of democracy, its concept of freedom, freedom of action, freedom of speech, and freedom of thought. I dream of a world where we can commit our social resources to the development of human life and not to its destruction. Extremism can flourish only in an environment where basic governmental, social responsibility for the welfare of the people is neglected. Political dictatorship and social hopelessness create the desperation that fuels religious extremism. The government I led gave ordinary people peace, security, dignity, and opportunity to progress. Pursuing peace means rising above one's own wants, needs, and emotions. To make peace, one must be an uncompromising leader. To make peace, one must also embody compromise. My father always would say, "My daughter will go into politics. My daughter will become prime minister, but it's not what I wanted to do." I would say, "No, Papa, I will never go into politics. As I have said before, this is not the life I chose. It chose me. But I accepted the responsibility, and I've never wavered in my commitment." I was a very shy girl who led an insulated life. It was only when I came to Oxford and to Harvard before that suddenly I saw the power of people. I didn't know such a power existed. I saw people criticizing their own president. You couldn't do that in Pakistan. You'd be thrown in prison. The political parties have unanimously rejected the one-man constitutional changes. The best hijab is in the eyes of the beholder. As a woman leader, I thought I brought a different kind of leadership. I was interested in women's issues, in bringing down the population growth rate. As a woman, I entered politics with an additional dimension, that of a mother. And also I was brought up to believe that human beings are good, which is why it shocks me to the core when I see human beings behaving badly. Right now, they feel they have lost their voice, and their miseries have increased since my departure. What is important is that a political party articulates the mood of a generation. Oppression does not know the meaning of provincial boundaries. Aren't our energies better spent fighting the common enemy instead of each other? Pakistan's future viability, stability, and security lie in empowering its people and building political institutions. My goal is to prove that the fundamental battle for the hearts and minds of a generation can be accomplished only under democracy. I find that whenever I am in power, or my father was in power, somehow good things happen. The economy picks up, we have good rains, water comes, people have crops. I think the reason this happens is that we want to give love and we receive love. While living in America, when I attended Harvard in the early 1970s, I saw for myself the awesome, almost miraculous power of a people to change policy through democratic means. It is one thing being able to contest an election and to give the people hope that I can be the next prime minister. It is a totally different situation where the people of Pakistan are told that the results are already taken and the leader of your choice is banned. No, I am not pregnant. I am fat, and as the prime minister, it's my right to be fat if I want to. You can imprison a man, but not an idea. You can exile a man, but not an idea. You can kill a man, but not an idea. If you do not learn from history, it tends to repeat itself. Freedom is not an end. Freedom is the beginning. Being nice should never be perceived as being weak. It's not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of courtesy, manners, grace. A woman's ability to make everyone feel at home, and it should never be construed as weakness. What is not recorded is not remembered. The next few months are critical to Pakistan's future direction as a democratic state committed to promoting peace, fighting terrorism, and working for social justice. The people who resent me do so because I'm a woman, I'm young, and I'm a Bhutto. Well, the simple answer is, it doesn't matter that I'm a woman. It doesn't matter that I'm young, and it's a matter of pride that I'm a Bhutto. Every dictator uses religion as a prop to keep himself in power. It would be so nice to have the luxury just 2 days. So nice not to have to always get up and get dressed for some occasion. Always having to move from here to there, where everything is scheduled, and even having lunch with my kids on their Easter break has to be slotted in. Maybe one day. I know death comes. I've seen too much death, young death. General Musharraf needs my participation to give credibility to the electoral process, as well as to respect the fundamental right of all those who wish to vote for me. The Holy Book calls upon Muslims to resist tyranny. Dictatorships in Pakistan, however long, have, therefore, always collapsed in the face of this spirit. When the United States aligns with dictatorships and totalitarian regimes, it compromises the basic democratic principles of its foundation, namely life, liberty, and justice for all. The military destabilized my government on politically motivated charges. The United Nations Charter gives every nation the right to self-defense. Therefore, when the American embassies were bombed, it was a matter of time before the Americans responded by going for what they suspected were the causes of the attack. I am constitutionally competent to contest the elections. Military dictatorship is born from the power of the gun, and so it undermines the concept of the rule of law and gives birth to a culture of might, a culture of weapons, violence, and intolerance. I've never had a bank account in Switzerland since 1984. Why would the Swiss do this to me? Maybe the Swiss are trying to divert attention from the Holocaust gold scandal. Military hardliners called me a security threat for promoting peace in South Asia and for supporting a broad-based government in Afghanistan. I believe that democracies do not go to war. That's the lesson of history, and I think that a democratic Pakistan is the world community's best guarantee of stability in Asia. Democracy is the best revenge. After Benazir Bhutto's death, her son's brief public remarks were captured on video, and they were reported in international newspapers. Bilawal Bhutto's Ardari announced, "My mother always said democracy is the best revenge." Like all children, I had taken my father for granted. Now that I had lost him, I felt an emptiness that could never be filled. But I did not let myself cry, believing as a Muslim that terrors pull a spirit earthward and won't let it be free. We learned at an early age that it was men's interpretation of our religion that restricted women's opportunities, not our religion itself. Islam, in fact, had been quite progressive toward women from its inception. Being nice should never be perceived as being weak. It's not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of courtesy, manners, grace, a woman's ability to make everyone feel at home, and it should never be construed as weakness. The military wants a system that protects its policies and privileges. Ultimately, leadership is about the strength of one's convictions, the ability to endure the punches, and the energy to promote an idea. And I have found that those who do achieve peace never acquiesce to obstacles, especially those constructed of bigotry, intolerance, and inflexible tradition. Clearly, it's not easy for women in modern society, no matter where they live. We still have to go the extra mile to prove that we are equal to men. We have to work longer hours and make more sacrifices. And we must emotionally protect ourselves from unfair, often vicious attacks made on us via the male members of our family. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our video.